This is our first episode of Youth Matters Philly program spotlights. Today we're going to be focusing on a housing resource, but these spotlights will be focusing many resources that we have on the Youth Matters Philly app. The Youth Matters Philly app is a web-based application that you can have on your phone or look at on the computer, which contains over 300 resources for young adults in Philadelphia between age 16 and 23. We have multiple resource types from employment, education to food, and in the app you can learn more about these resources and whether they might apply to you and how to access them. Today we're going to be doing our first spotlight where we really look in depth at one of our programs that are in the app to tell you more about them. And our first spotlight is going to be on the Gloria Casarez Permanent Supportive Housing Project at Project Home, and we are talking with Kate Gormley. Kate, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, my name is Kate Gormley. I'm the Senior Program Manager at Project Home, working with the Young Adult Program.
Excellent. Thanks so much. Can you tell us a little bit about the Gloria Casarez Residence and what young people will be eligible for housing there?
Sure. So we are very excited. This December, end of December, beginning of January, we're going to open our doors, the Gloria Casarez Residence doors, to new applicants. We're very excited about. And something that's special about this building is that it will be the first LGBTQ-friendly permanent supportive housing in the state of Pennsylvania. So we're very excited about that. And of course, for it to be named after Gloria is very special to a lot of us.
Great. So. It's really exciting, and told us that a lot of young people you told me that a lot of young people would be really good fits for this program. Yeah. Tell us a little more about who would be a good fit for this program and who we should think about referring and helping with applications.
Absolutely. They're really any young person between the ages of 18 and 23 who does not have stable housing would be a great candidate to apply. There's a lot of, people just need to be previously homeless, currently homeless, or at risk of homelessness. And we'll work with folks, any which way to help get that documentation and to find housing.
Great. And so a young person who's couch surfing may be eligible.
Absolutely. And we understand that a lot of young folks don't necessarily end up in shelters, right? The invisible population of young adult homelessness. So we know people are out there couch surfing. We know they're staying with friends and families and bouncing around. And that's the category that we would really consider at risk of homelessness if there's no place permanent for someone to stay. The other group, a lot of folks are coming out of juvenile justice or DHS, and they don't have a permanent place to go after they age out. So those would be great candidates to send to us. Yeah.
Excellent. We know a lot of our audience is working with those young people, so definitely either couch surfing, either getting ready to leave the justice system and child welfare. Those are great referrals if you don't have housing plans, so that's awesome to hear. What about young people who need housing tonight? Are they a good fit for this program?
Unfortunately, the building isn't ready, so we can't take anyone for this residence, before December. But there are a number of places that for anyone who needs housing tonight, like today, tomorrow, there's some places that you can go. Covenant House, Pennsylvania is a great option. Home for Hope is another wonderful option. And then of course there's, the Project Home Hub for Hope at 1401 JFK, where people can just walk in, talk to a case manager, and ask for services.
Excellent. And we'll put those resources in the comments section, and we'll also add information about the 2 youth access points in Philadelphia. So you mentioned that these are 1-bedroom units. Mm-hmm. So how many people can be in a 1-bedroom unit?
So 2 people are allowed to live in a 1-bedroom unit. So what can happen is, couples can move in, or expectant parents, or parents with young children are eligible for this residence. As long as both people are eligible for the unit, then both people can sign a lease.
So a parent with 1 child, so you'd still need 2. You could only
so
need
a parent
2 people.
with 1 child, or a couple, or even 2 friends that wanted to rent an apartment together.
They just need to know there's one bedroom.
Totally, yeah,
So,
one bedroom.
But that's great to know for people, mother, baby, expecting parents, and people who want to do housing and be roommates.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you some questions about the application,
Sure.
because to apply, you need to complete the application, and applications are always confusing to all of us. This one is pretty good, but we do want people to understand. We want you to power through. And I want to just ask you a couple of questions after looking at it. If a young person was in the juvenile justice system, has a juvenile record, criminal record, can they still apply?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Project Home is a housing agency. We do education, we do employment, we do medical, but at our heart and at our foundation, housing is where we started, and we understand that being homeless is often a crime, and that folks have to eat every day and have to live every day. So we're not naive. We understand a lot of our clients have some kind of criminal history or ongoing stuff, and that should absolutely never be a barrier to applying to us for housing.
Excellent. It's great to hear. And then, so the application asks you a lot of questions, need to provide a lot of information. Some of the questions ask young people, because they're young, haven't accumulated that history or don't have that information. How should they handle some of the questions, like about assets, about cars, that they just may not apply to them?
Yeah, and I get it. It's a long application. We try to make it as clear as possible, but it's still pretty long, right? So basically, I would just say, to folks that are applying, be honest with us. Give us as much information as you can. But a lot of those boxes, if you look through the pages of the application, they're not going to apply to everyone. So if there's a box that doesn't apply to you, or it's a benefit or something that you don't get, at the top of that section, you'll see a little box that says does not apply. Just check that, and then don't worry about it. Move to the next section.
Okay, excellent. And then, if you are a transgender young person, what name should you use in the application?
Put your name on there, and also give us your preferred name, and give us your pronouns. We want to be respectful and affirming to everyone who applies. So give us the information, to do that. We want to use names that people are comfortable with, that people use every day. So give us that, and that's what the staff will work with.
Okay, great. And then, important question about deadlines and how young people submit their applications.
Yeah. So this Friday is the deadline, September 15th. And unfortunately, you can't drop off the application, you can't mail it in, or it has to be mailed in.
Okay.
Right? So don't email, don't leave it at a building. It has to be put in an envelope, stamped, and mailed into our P.O. box, and it has to be postmarked by this Friday. Every application that gets postmarked by this Friday and sent in to us will include in the lottery.
Okay. And that's how individuals will be selected for the 30 slots?
Yes.
Anything received, if they're eligible, will be picked in a lottery?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then the folks that don't get in the first 30 units will stay on our wait list.
Okay.
So when we have openings, we'll call people up and say, hey, we've got an apartment, are you still interested?
Okay.
So if you put an application in and you don't get picked in the first 30, we still have your paperwork. You're still in line for housing, and we'll just, when we get there, we'll give you a call.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any closing tips or information you want to share with people about submitting their applications?
Friday. Get it mailed in by this Friday. Yes.
And what about, should people, you mentioned to me that including as much contact information as possible is really important.
Yes.
What kind of information? I mean, caseworkers, friends, family?
Everybody, grandma, your pastor at church, anyone who keeps a number on, and that you would feel comfortable with them knowing that you're looking for housing. The most frustrating thing is when people's numbers change, and then we do have an apartment available, but we can't get a hold of them.
Okay.
So just give us as many phone numbers as you can that are working, that are reliable, and that you trust.
Right.
So that if we have good news, I can call you and get a hold of you and say, hey, we have an apartment.
And you would young people will be sharing this information just for the purposes of you getting a hold of them, not for sharing the information, but just being able to call to say, hey, come in for an interview, or hey,
Absolutely.
your apartment's ready.
Yep. All I would say is, hey, I'm trying to get a hold of Jenny. It's really important. Please pass along my message.
Okay,
So,
excellent. No,
yeah.
that's really important. All right, well, thanks so much, Kate, for coming
Thanks
in.
for having me. This is great.
We're so excited. As we said, this is our first episode, but what we want to say before we end this one is, if you are a young person watching and you might be a good fit, your housing is unstable right now, or you're about to age out of child welfare, juvenile justice, click on the link below, fill out the application. As we said, applications are hard. Get help. People will help you. Find a friend, find a caseworker, find a mentor. People will want you to take advantage of this opportunity, so don't hesitate to reach out. Fill it out and postmark it by Friday. If you are a colleague, friend working with young people, think about who you're working with who may be eligible. We know, because we get the calls here, that young people need permanent supportive housing. This is such a great opportunity. Think about who's on your caseload, who you're working with, who might be eligible. Call them, go out and find them, go see them, fill out the application with them, and help them postmark it. It's so important, and we did want to make sure we had the spotlight today because you have time to get this in by Friday, but as Kate said, due on Friday, so there's time to do this, but we really encourage you to do this. Again, thanks so much for clicking on. We look forward to presenting and sharing really great resources like this, and we look forward to more great resources from Project Home, and we thank you for you and Sister Mary and the whole organization for continuing to build this housing. It's really great.
Thank you.
All right, thanks so much. Thanks for tuning in.